Welcome, welcome, travel enthusiasts and language lovers, to another exciting episode of Wanderlust Words. I'm your host, Maya, and today, we're embarking on a linguistic journey that promises to transform your next adventure. We're diving deep into the art of everyday travel English and the magic of learning real conversations. Forget your dusty grammar books for a moment, because we're talking about connecting with the world, one authentic interaction at a time. And to help us navigate this fascinating topic, I'm thrilled to introduce two incredible guests. First up, the man who has probably used more practical English in airport lounges than I have in my entire life. Global explorer and seasoned storyteller, Alex.
Thanks, Maya. Great to be here. Airport lounges is certainly one way to put it. I've definitely learned the hard way how much a simple "excuse me, where's the gate?" can save your sanity.
Absolutely. And joining us to shed light on the how-to of mastering these crucial communication skills, a brilliant language educator and someone who truly understands the science of effective learning, Sarah. It's a pleasure, Maya. I'm excited to talk about moving beyond rote memorization to truly functional English for travelers. Perfect. So let's just jump right in. Alex, you've been everywhere. What's the biggest difference between the English we might have learned in school and the everyday travel English you actually use on the road?
Oh, that's simple, Maya. School English often focuses on perfection, correct grammar, complex sentences, proper tenses. Travel English? It's about communication, pure and simple. It's functional. I remember being in a small village in Thailand, trying to explain to a tuk-tuk driver that I wanted to go to the floating market. My textbook Thai was non-existent, and my textbook English felt too formal. I ended up pointing, making wavy hand motions, and saying, "Boat, market, water." He got it. It wasn't eloquent, but it was a real conversation in that moment, because we understood each other.
That's a fantastic example, Alex. Sarah, from an educational standpoint, what's happening there? Why is that broken English often more effective than grammatically perfect but overly complex sentences? It comes down to what we call communicative competence versus purely linguistic competence. Linguistic competence is about knowing the rules of grammar and vocabulary. Communicative competence is about being able to use language effectively and appropriately in real-world situations to achieve a goal. Alex's example perfectly illustrates that the goal wasn't to write a perfect essay about the floating market. It was to get there. Often, simpler, direct language, combined with context and nonverbal cues, is far more efficient in travel scenarios. So it's about getting your message across, not winning a grammar award. I love that. Alex, can you give us some more examples of these real conversations that travelers absolutely need to master?
Absolutely. Beyond the "where's my gate" or floating market scenarios, think about ordering food in a busy restaurant when the menu is only in the local language. You need to be able to ask, "What is this?" Or "Does this have nuts?" Or "Can I get a glass of water?" Or checking into a hotel, "I have a reservation under Smith. What time is breakfast? Where's the gym?" And honestly, even small talk, like "This coffee is delicious," or "It's a beautiful day," can open doors to amazing interactions. I once got an impromptu tour of a hidden garden because I complimented a cafe owner's flowers.
That's the magic, isn't it? Those unexpected connections. Sarah, for our listeners who might be a bit shy or worried about making mistakes, what are some practical tips to start learning and practicing these essential phrases? The first step is to identify your most common travel scenarios. Are you a foodie? Focus on restaurant vocabulary. Are you a solo adventurer? Learn phrases for asking directions and dealing with minor issues. I always recommend role-playing. Practice with a friend or even in front of a mirror. Imagine yourself in those situations. Also, don't just consume passively. Listen to travel vlogs, but try to shadow what people are saying. Repeat their phrases, mimic their intonation. Use flashcards for key vocabulary, not just words, but short, useful phrases like, "How much does this cost?" Or do you have a table for two? I can attest to the power of role-playing, especially when it comes to ordering complicated coffee. Soy latte, extra hot, no foam, please, is a real tongue twister in a new language. Right, and don't be afraid to sound silly. The goal is to communicate. Also, technology can be a great starting point. Apps like Duolingo or Memrise are excellent for vocabulary. But remember, they're a tool, not the entire solution. You need to actively speak what you're learning. Find online language exchange partners. Even 5 minutes of practice a day can make a huge difference.
And on the road, don't shy away from opportunities to speak. Even if you only know a few words, use them. A genuine hello or thank you in the local language, followed by your travel English, shows respect and opens people up. I remember being in Japan, and my attempts at even basic Japanese were always met with smiles and incredibly helpful responses, even if we then switched to English.
That's a crucial point, Alex, about showing respect. It's not just about the words, is it? Maya, you mentioned the magic of connection earlier, and that brings us to something beyond just vocabulary and grammar, the unspoken language. What role does that play in real conversations?
It's huge, isn't it? A smile, eye contact, a nod. Sometimes when my words fail, a heartfelt shrug and a hopeful expression can convey "I'm trying" better than any perfectly conjugated verb. I once got completely lost in a small town in Italy. My Italian was limited to hello and thank you. I approached an elderly woman, looking utterly bewildered. I just pointed down the street, made a questioning sound, and she immediately understood. She didn't speak a word of English, but her gestures and reassuring tone of voice guided me exactly where I needed to go. It was a beautiful, real conversation without many shared words.
That's such a universal experience, Alex. Sarah, how do we help our listeners tap into that non-verbal communication more effectively? It's about observation and openness. Pay attention to how locals communicate. Are they direct with eye contact or more indirect? What kind of gestures do they use? A genuine smile is almost universally understood and is incredibly disarming. And actively listen, not just for the words, but for the tone, the pace, the pauses. Sometimes a polite, "Could you say that again?" or "Could you speak a little slower?" delivered with a warm smile is far more effective than just pretending to understand and getting completely lost. That's wonderful advice. It feels like we've covered so much ground today, from the nitty-gritty of practical phrases to the broader art of connection. Before we wrap up, Alex, what's the one big takeaway you hope our listeners grab from this discussion?
For me, it's all about confidence over perfection. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every misstep is a learning opportunity, and most people you meet on your travels are incredibly patient and appreciative of your effort. Just try. That's the main thing.
And Sarah, what's your ultimate piece of advice for our aspiring language-savvy travelers? Focus on functionality and active engagement. Learn the phrases that directly impact your travel experience. How to get help, how to order food, how to make simple connections. And then, actively seek out opportunities to use them, whether it's practicing in front of the mirror or striking up a conversation with a fellow traveler. Every small step builds confidence and skill. Fantastic! So whether you're planning your next big adventure or just dreaming of one, remember, everyday travel English isn't about acing a test. It's about opening up to new experiences, building bridges with people, and making those real conversations happen. It truly enhances your journey in ways you can't imagine. A huge thank you to Alex for sharing his incredible travel stories and insights, and to Sarah for her invaluable expertise and practical tips. You've both given us so much to think about.
My pleasure, Maya. Happy travels to everyone.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy your conversations. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on Wanderlust Words. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep connecting.